Hello and welcome to Roadmap 2015. I am Benga Ashiru. We begin today with the recent development in Adamawa State, northeastern Nigeria, where the Federal High Court in Abuja directed the former Deputy Governor, Bala Ngilari, to be sworn in as the Governor of Adamawa State. The court declared that Mr. Ngilari did not resign. The court also ordered the October 11 by-election be stopped. The federal government has also given every nod for the court ruling to take immediate effect. So the former deputy governor, having been sworn in now, he holds the reign as the executive governor of Adamawa State till the next governorship poll, which is slated for February 28 next year. Though the Bola Ojo-led council for the deposed acting governor Umar Fintiri has said the court's ruling will be appealed in due course. Now let's take that report on the ruling of Adamawa Court briefly before going into other business of the day.
Jubilation by supporters of Adamawa State Deputy Governor Mr. Bala Ngilari shortly after a federal high court ordered that he should be sworn in as the governor of Adamawa State immediately following the impeachment of Governor Gov.Nyako. But before that, Justice Adeni Ademola, who first affirmed the jurisdiction of his courts to adjudicate on the matter, ruled that for any deputy governor to resign, there must be strict compliance to Section 306 of the 1999 Constitution, which required that a resignation letter must be received by the governor or any other person he assigns to do so on his behalf. And there is no evidence before the court indicating that former Governor Gov.Nyako, who is joined in the suit as a sixth defendant, received any letter from the deputy governor. Justice Ademola said that it is not the duty of the Adamawa State House of Assembly to receive any resignation letter. Accordingly, the said resignation letter has no effect and therefore not admissible by the court. He ruled that the resignation of the deputy governor did not comply with the Constitution and therefore does not stand. Justice Adeni ordered that Mr. Ngilari be sworn in as the governor of Adamawa State immediately. He also directed that the acting governor, Mr. Amadu Fintiri, vacate the Adamawa State Government House immediately, as his swearing-in is illegal and unconstitutional. The court also ordered that the Independent National Electoral Commission shall the planned by-election in Adamawa State this Saturday, 11th of October 2014, as there is no vacancy in the Adamawa State Government House.
Section 306 is very clear on the point that unless you hand over a letter of resignation to the governor, it does not take any effect. So at the time that Nyako was purportedly impeached, there was a deputy governor in place to be sworn in as governor. What you had was a constitutional coup. It was a civilian coup that took place, that a speaker connived with everybody, removed his two bosses in front of him and took over government of a state.
Meanwhile, in response to the judgment of the Federal High Court, counsel to the acting governor of Adamawa State, Chief Bayojo, says he has appealed the judgment and also filed a motion for the stay of the orders of the court pending the hearing and disposal of the appeal. According to him, by the appeal, the orders of the court cannot be complied with until the appeal process is disposed of.
Now let's see how the PDP is bracing up for the 2015 presidential race. The adoption of President Goodluck Jonathan as the sole candidate for the PDP presidential primaries is still eliciting reactions. It's just necessary we hear from those who helped in setting the stage for the emergence of President Goodluck Jonathan as the sole presidential candidate for the PDP. Chief Shuaib Oyedekun, he led the PDP Southwest delegation to endorse President Goodluck Jonathan as the sole consensus candidate. Chief Oyedekun also presented the mandate of the PDP's Board of Trustees for the adoption of Mr. President as the party's sole consensus candidate. Chief Oyedekun also commented on the recent cash for arms controversy. He says the APC are fanning the embers of the controversial deal with an inordinate propaganda. While he also reflected on the build-up leading to the adoption of Mr. President as the sole consensus candidate for the PDP. We began by asking him if the adoption of Mr. President as the PDP sole candidate is truly in the best interest of the Southwest, which he led. Take a listen.
Precisely on August 28, 2010, the stakeholders in the Southwest met at the Parliament building in Ibadan under the auspices of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. where we adopted and endorsed Dr. Goodluck Jonathan as the presidential candidate for 2011 election. Since then, we had been with him. And that time we had an agreement that he should, among other things, and among all other sectors of Nigerian community, take special interest in the Southwest. And it has not disappointed us. So this time around, we also met and said, look, all things being equal, we believe you have to continue to support Jonathan.
Now, let's look at the factors. What factors did you take into consideration in endorsing Mr. President? Now, bookmakers have taken this endorsement up based on performance. Now, when you look at the area of the power sector and security, these are two major critical areas in his administration, and some bookmakers have scored him a low watermark in performance in these areas. So you still went ahead to endorse him. Did you factor these situations on ground?
Certainly, yes, with every emphasis at my command. Even though I am not a minister, I'm not a special advisor who will be rolling out details of his performance. But what I know is that, judging by what Nigeria is and where he took over, I believe in all aspects of Nigerian community, he has done his best.
Projecting the Southwest now as his own, let's look at the regional politics now. Many believe that the Southwest is being marginalized in the scheme of things in this present administration. So how would he account for his endorsement?
You see, there are two complainants. The opposition party, which wants to create, through their propaganda, an impression that the Southwest is being marginalized. There are also the new complainants, people, the real stakeholders in the Southwest who complain. Some of us also complain. But we had to confront Mr. President. We have to confront the leadership of the party, what is happening to the Southwest. By the time they put everything on the table, we almost buried our heads, not knowing that much has been done in the Southwest. And I gave examples. When you talk of appointments, especially political appointments, start with ministerial. We have our own fair share. Constitutionally, every state has a slot. Have we been denied of our slots? The problem is with the opposition. Politically, after the last election, we were given the slot of the speakership of the House of Representatives. How did it elude us? Is it not our own people who did it?
Now, let's look at the circumstance leading to the sole candidacy of President Goodluck Jonathan. We have reports that some were compelled and arm-twisted, and in some cases, the machinery of the EFCC were used to threaten them out of the race. Could you confirm this to us?
That is not correct. And I say this with every sense of responsibility. Nobody's arm was twisted. Nobody was coerced.
Are you
what
saying
happens
there was
is
no horse trading
what
emergence that led
at all? What happens is this: we put down some criteria at different levels, and we made independent assessments. What are we going to do? We discovered that PDP had gone through a lot of vicissitudes the last 1 year, where you find political migrants going out in exodus, only to, just to destabilize the party. We had also a lot of internal disintegration, which people called implosion in PDP because of our size. Then we thought about it. How do we get this party stable? How do we get the country stable? And not that it was planned, it just came like that.
Now, you've pointed out the fear of implosion within the PDP. Now, if you're concentrating on how the PDP could be united against having disaffection within the PDP. Would you say that President Goodluck Jonathan is the best the party, your party, the PDP, could offer?
I don't know what you mean by best candidate, but as far as we know, as far as we believe, and from all indications, for now, that is the best candidate Nigeria had been lucky to have. And what is democracy? Is it not decision making by consultations and agreement? Whatever process you take to it. When you say democracy, you do consultation. By the people do the consultation for themselves, by themselves.
You've come up with an interesting dimension in your definition of democracy. Now, what happens to the voice of majority in your own definition?
When you say democracy is for the people, by the people, it used to be by the people in the Greek sense of it, when everybody will assemble in the community. But now it is by a representative, elected few representatives.
So what happens to the
and
voice?
What
happens to the voice of majority?
The majority are being represented by those who took the decisions, and they have to consult them. If the House of Representatives take a decision now, will you say it's not valid? Because they are representing their constituencies. All those people who participated in the discussion, in the dialogue, are representatives of the various sectors.
What is the legality, what is the legitimacy of the representatives? Do they have the mandate of the popular opinion?
They all have the mandate of their people, because it's not just overnight. We have done a lot of consultation underground, and we had feedbacks. We have people really prompting us to do it.
Now, let's make some projections towards the 2015 presidential elections. How do you see the posturing of the PDP against the APC?
Well, the APC is making every effort to stop that. And that's why they embark on poaching. And the poaching now is, I think, is getting counterproductive. By the time we were undergoing that process of rumpus in the PDP, they thought they were having a field day. But now, the party, PDP, has stabilized. We are consolidating. Their own problem is just starting now, and it will continue like that until the eve of the election.
Now, let's look at the recent cash on arms deal controversy in which the APC and the PDP is being dragged to the battle of words now. Would you say the federal government followed due process in this circumstance?
I am sure the truth will later surface. I only appeal to Nigerians to be patient and don't overblow issues. You see, in a war situation, Nigerians were exposed. We are learned. We are very articulate, but we lack one thing: facing realities. In a war situation, anything can happen.
Now, you said the truth would eventually prevail. So who is shielding the truth now? I'm sure it's not the opposition this time around.
If the opposition wants you to stumble, you have to take your time to reply them.
You mean the opposition party initiated the arms deal? Is that what you're insinuating?
I'm not talking of anybody involved in arms deal. What I'm saying, and I will repeat, is that in a war situation that we are, opposition will prompt you to say something out and fall into the hands of the enemy. So you have to keep quiet for some time and see the trend before you make any pronouncement.